If you like what you see, please hit that like and subscribe. In this video, I am going to be going over how to blink properly in different situations. One thing you will need to understand that it will take time to master blinking, but once you do, then no survivor can stop you once you see them. Even without any perks, a nurse can 4K against survivors without much trouble. The only issue she will have is finding survivors, but they have to get the generator, so eventually you will find them. Due to the fact that you can blink from one generator to the next, it doesn't give them much of a chance to hide once they know you are coming. I am going to show 4 videos on blinking techniques, then I will go into explaining different perk builds that will help you as a nurse leading up to a final build that you want to master. It is important to take the necessary steps to learn. Once you get to the master nurse build, you can utilize it to its full potential. While learning how to blink as a nurse, you're going to want 2 specific white add-ons. The first, plaid flannel. The second, wooden horse. These 2 together will be the basis of how you're going to learn how to blink with the nurse. The first one, what it allows you to do, plaid flannel, you can see a marker on the screen where you're about to blink to. The second, wooden horse, allows you to not be penalized so badly for missing a blink attack. These 2 together are going to be what you want to use to learn how to blink. I will be using both of these in my videos to show you where I'm going to be blinking to with a marker on the screen so that you can visually see what I am doing. At this point, I had finished hooking and I heard to my right a survivor. Now that I turn to my right, I can see that survivor. The survivor is about to run to the right behind this structure, so I am going to look at the structure more closely and plan my blink accordingly. I got very lucky. The survivor decided to run into the open. Because the survivor is in the open, I am going to plan my first blink to be right in front of the survivor. If the survivor tries to double back, I will turn around and attack. If the survivor continues to run, I will use my lunge to finish off the attack. At this point, I have gotten both my blinks back. The survivor is going to try to use this pallet to try to get away. The problem is that once he goes to throw the pallet, he's going to be stuck in an animation. I am going to take full advantage of this. I am going to blink past the pallet and past the survivor, and then turn around and attack while they're trying to finish the animation. At this point in the game, I saw red scratch marks, so I blinked to them. Upon getting my fatigue back, I was able to locate the survivor. The problem that I'm having right now is that I only have 1 blink, and the survivor is a good distance away. I technically could make the 1 blink work and hit the survivor, but that would be a little risky. The smart move here is to wait for my second blink so that I can plan an attack accordingly. If I miss with this 1 blink right now, the other 2 survivors would be able to utilize that extra time to make the save of the 1 person on the hook and to get gens done. Now I have acquired my second blink. Now I can start planning my attack. The survivor is about to run between 2 pillars. Since that area is very small, I am going to move to my right so I can see both sides and see which side he comes out. If he does not come out, I am going to move in closer to the pillar until I am close enough that I can start going around it. If he does come out, I am going to attack. He came out. Now I can plan my attack. I can see that he's about to run behind that pillar. So what I'm going to do is I am going to blink to the corner of that pillar where I can see around. If he decides to double back, I'm going to swing and hit before he passes me. If he continues running, I am going to plan my second blink to take him down. While in my blink, notice how I already have turned my body so I can see. Now I can already start to see that he is not there. At this point in time, I do not have line of sight on the survivor. I am waiting until I have line of sight to make my attack. I have both my blinks back, and I'm ready to go the moment I see the survivor. The survivor is now in my sight. I am going to blink right in front of him and finish this run real fast. At this point, I have finished hooking a survivor, and I'm utilizing barbecue and chili to help me find the location of any other survivors. I had no luck. This means that all the survivors are either less than 40 meters away or hiding in lockers. Since there are at least 3 survivors left, I'm going to assume that some of them are in the area trying to make the save. So I'm going to search the area to see if I can find any. One just appeared right in front of me. He is self-healing in the catacombs of that building right in front of me. I can see him. That means he is 28 meters away. But he can't hear my terror radius because my terror radius is 24 meters. I have 4 meters to play with before he is aware of me. Because he is on a lower floor, I'm going to have to let him hear my terror radius right before I blink. So at this point, I am going to charge up my blink and move in at the same time so that I can start my attack. At this point, I'm about to attack. As you can see, he has not moved yet. I'm going to continue staring at his aura to see if he makes a move. If he stops healing, I will have an instant to see which direction he moves. If he does do this, I'm going to make sure that I am looking in that direction first when I finish my blink. I just realized I messed up. I overblinked. But his aura did not move the whole time that I was in my blink. So my first goal is to swing around and attack the spot in which he was before I finished. I hit him. At this point in the game, I have blinked up here so that I can kick a generator. There were some survivors on it, but I lost sight of them at this point. I just found the survivors thanks to nurses calling. I now know that they are over there and they cannot see me because there is a wall separating us. While I'm charging up my blink, I am planning exactly where I want to blink to. Because there is a wall separating us and they are up against the wall, I want to blink to the opposite side of that wall so I can pin them between me and the wall. While in the middle of my blink, I am keeping an eye on the auras. At this point, I can see that they have broken off and one went in each direction. I am going to use this information to make my hit. Now we're going to talk about intermediate builds. Intermediate nurse builds are going to help you progress as a nurse, but they're not going to help you get 4K 95% of the time. So this is the generator control perks. The first two I'm going to talk about are Dying Light and Thanophobia. They are very good together. The only problem is Dying Light does not affect the obsession, so the obsession is not affected anyway, but they still get a bonus of healing because of it. Now, with Dying Light, everybody else who isn't the obsession, they take 3% generator speed from everyone that is hooked. Thanophobia is automatic 4% for everybody if they're injured, hooked, or dying state. If they're not fully healed, then you get a 4% decrease in your generator speed. The only thing is, when they die, that doesn't count toward the 4%. They have to be alive. So you're going to have to allow the obsession who has no penalties whatsoever from Dying Light to stay alive for Dying Light. And Thanophobia, the hindrances once they die, it doesn't affect them. I like these perks when you are beginning and when you're learning, but once you become a master blinker, you should not be using these perks anymore. Pop Goes the Weasel is a nice perk because it does take 25% off a generator. The problem with this perk is that you should be focusing on taking down survivors, not playing with generators. Playing with generators is for those who are making mistakes. You want to get away from making mistakes. For intermediate level, yes, it's fine. But once you become a master blinker, you should not be playing with gens. You shouldn't even be worrying about gens. You're going to have total map control because you're going to be taking survivors out left and right. They're not going to have a chance to get all 5 gens done because you're going to be on top of them. Pop goes the weasel, at that point becomes useless. Same thing with sloppy butchery. When you hit somebody, yes, it's going to take them a lot longer to get healed. Here's the problem with that. You should be taking them down. At the worst case scenario, it's blink, blink, hit. Blink, blink, dead hard, avoid. Blink, blink, down. Within 6 blinks, they should be completely down. 4 blinks if they don't have dead heart. If they have dead heart, mori them for being pathetic. But like I said, they should be taken down. They shouldn't be allowed to get away and heal. Sloppy butchery is a clutch. You don't need it. Surge is a nice build, and I would put it at the upper level of intermediate builds because at least you're not playing with gens. You're automatically breaking the gens within an area when you down a survivor. Eventually, you want to change this over to another perk so that you can hear a survivor when they scream. And yes, I am talking about Infectious Fright. Infectious Fright will allow you to continue to slug survivors, while this hinders them from doing a little bit of gen time. Since generator time is 1/4 diminishing versus what the survivors do, for every 4 seconds that a generator is regressing, 1 second of a survivor being on a gen does the same amount of repairs that you just damage. That is why I am against Surge. Surge allows for too much time to be wasted playing around with gens when you should be going after survivors. When you down a survivor and you see that, hey, there's a survivor on that gen from your Infectious Fright, you should be immediately blinking over that person and taking them down. That is how you do gen control. If you're going to use Surge for gen control, then what's going to happen is they're going to have more time to play around with gens. That is why eventually you want to get away from Surge. Now we're going to talk about Thrilling Tremors. Thrilling Tremors is the same thing. Not only that, but it does tell you what gen survivors are working on. But so does Barbecue and Chili. Barbecue and Chili not only tells you what gens that the survivors are working on, but they also show what gens they are not on when they're running around between gens if they're over 40 meters. If they're under 40 meters, you got Infectious Fright. So Thrilling Tremors is almost useless. Yes, it does stop them from working on gens for 16 seconds, but so does slugging them. Slugging them actually prevents them for more than 16 seconds. This becomes completely useless. Now we're going to talk about Hex Rune. Hex Rune is completely useless. People want to say, oh, but you need map pressure. You need map control. You're a nurse. Act like it. Your map pressure is you can blink between every generator. You can go from one generator to another within 2 blinks usually. If not, at least 2 sets. If you have a problem with getting to a generator fast enough, then your problem isn't the fact that you don't have Hex Rune. Your problem is that you're not properly thinking about what you're doing and planning effectively. Sometimes they're going to get a gen because the 2 generators are completely across the map, but they're not going to get all 5 gens done if you are slugging them, if you are taking them down fast enough like you're supposed to. Hex Rune is only there to help the intermediate builds get to that point where they're finally making their blinks perfectly. Same thing with Blood Echo. Blood Echo, I'm going to say the same thing as Sloppy Butchery. If you are depending upon them being injured to stay injured, then you have a problem. You should be able to say, oh, I see a survivor, now I'm taking them down. Any survivor you see should be immediately in your mind going down because you have the skill to take them down and take them down fast. You don't have to worry about windows. You don't have to worry about pallets. You don't have to worry about loops. You blink, they're hit. You blink, they're down. If they have dead heart, that down part might be another set of blinks, depending upon if they do it right or not. Either way, this Blood Echo doesn't help you as much as other perks. It's a waste of a perk slot. So these are good for intermediate builds. Yes, they will help you when you're missing your blinks, but once you're making your blinks, these are going to hold you back. You're going to need to get away from them. The next set of perks I want to go over are the survivor location perks. Intermediate nurses that are still not at the master level of blinking will benefit from these, but eventually you're going to want to graduate away from them. I want to start with my favorite, whispers. I have used whispers so much and it has gotten me out of so much trouble. When I got to the end gates, it was the only reason I knew where to find a survivor that was giving me a hard time. Now, I don't use it anymore. And this is a perk that I depended upon and was my favorite. And the reason I don't use it anymore is because I'm not getting to the end gates most of the time. I'm ending my games with 3 or 4 generators left to do. So whispers now becomes completely useless. Also, while using whispers, I found that I was searching an area looking for a survivor when whispers would light up instead of continuing to patrol the gens. So the survivors were getting gens done while I'm wasting my time looking for a survivor that's well hidden. You want to find survivors that are on gens. Just keep blinking to gens until you find survivors. If a gen's starting to get done at a faster rate, you know there's 2 survivors in that area, then you can start looking around a little more. But most of the time, you can blink on a gen and you will catch them running away or still on that gen. That is how you're going to find survivors. Whispers is only going to waste your time and you don't realize it until it's too late. So yes, it's a good perk to use while you're learning, but eventually you need to get away from it because it hurts you more than it helps you when you get to the advanced levels. Discordance is another perk that is very, very good in the beginning. It tells you which den that 2 survivors are working on. That's half of your survivors that you need to take down. So you can blink right over there and take those 2 survivors off the gens. Now half the survivors are not on gens. Great advantage. Problem is that you should already be patrolling gens if you're not on survivors. If you're on survivors, that thing lights up. That's a distraction. You should be focusing on taking down that survivor very fast, which should take less than a minute. And then Infectious Fright does not go off. You hook them. You already know where the 2 are. Discordance eventually becomes a waste of time and a distraction for you. You need to get away from it eventually. Deerstalker is a nice perk because you are a slugging nurse. You're going to be slugging a lot. If you lose track of people who are on the ground, it does help you find them. Let's be honest. They're on the ground. They're going to die. You're not trying to get, all red emblems. You are just trying to get a 4K. You don't need to worry about getting 2 pips. You're going to be pipping 1 at least each and every game. So why do you need Deerstalker? It's a waste of time. You can use your ears. If they have Iron Will, let them bleed out and die. Either way, you win. You don't need to worry about hooking them 3 times. You just need to worry about winning. You want to win a game? They don't get through the hatch. They don't escape through the exit gate. Just make sure you take out the hatch before they can get to it. Iron Maiden is a nice perk to keep them out of lockers in the beginning of the game. I wouldn't recommend this though because let them hide in lockers. The only survivors that are a threat to you are the ones that are on gens. Worry about them. If these people want to hide in lockers, they're also going to be the ones that are going to be afraid to do gens if they even have an inkling of a terror radius. If they see you, they're going to hide. They're going to be too afraid to do gens anyway. They are not a threat. Worry about the ones on gens. They're the ones that are going to be a threat. The ones that are hiding in a locker, let them. Iron Maiden becomes useless. So I recommend not even running it. Now I'm going to go over the last group of intermediate perk builds. This is the help downing survivor perks. The first one is Shadowborn. Shadowborn is a dangerous perk to use because once you start using it, you can't play without it. This perk depends on you not learning a vital skill in learning how to track down survivors. Without this skill, more advanced survivors will burn you even with Shadowborn. It also takes up a perk slot that could be used for something you could benefit more from. Make Your Choice is a great choice while learning because it allows you to take out a survivor quicker. The only issue here is that you are only given 60 seconds, which means you have to stop what you are doing to pursue the person who is exposed. Eventually, it won't matter if someone's exposed or not. You should be able to take them down fast. Since being exposed is not an issue, this perk is something you should gradually move away from as you are mastering your blinks. I'm All Ears is another great perk to use while learning. When someone performs a rush action within 48 meters of you, you can see their aura for 6 seconds. The downside is that this perk has a cooldown of 48 seconds. It is a great perk for learning how to see survivors act once they get behind a wall, but eventually you should learn and practice how to counter this. Timing your blinks for easy hits. Eventually you should move on to better perks once you have no more need for this perk. No One Escapes Death, also known as NOED, is a perk almost every killer can use while learning that killer, since it allows you to take any survivor down in one hit. Eventually, you will be mastering your blink, so this perk will become useless as you won't see the end game much. You will want to move away from this perk to other perks that will be more beneficial to you in getting a 4K with only 1 or 2 generators done. Play with Your Food is an interesting perk that helps you increase your speed. The nurse's base speed is 3.85 meters per second, which is slower than the survivor's 4 meters per second. Every token gives you a 5% speed boost up to 3 tokens, which means 15% speed boost. This is useless on a nurse because your blinks are already at superior movement speed, over 300% of a survivor's speed. Even so, I will go over the speed information for each token. 1 token will make you 4.0425 meters per second. Basically, you're at the speed of a survivor. 2 tokens will make you 4.235 meters per second. That is basically 4.2 meters per second, the speed of a Tier 1 Myers. 3 tokens will make you 4.4275 meters per second. We'll say 4.4 meters per second. That is a Tier 2 Myers. Most killers are 4.6 meters, so you're still going to be behind most killers. With this perk, you are wasting a lot of your time getting in and out of chases with the Obsession instead of taking them down, which is the core ability of the nurse. The nurse's strongest ability is to end chases faster than any other killer. While using a perk like this, you are going against her strongest power. I would recommend never using this perk, ever. Now let's go over the Advanced Nurse build. This is the build you eventually want to use when you're ready. The perks are Barbecue and Chili, Infectious Fright, A Nurse's Calling, Monitor and Abuse. Barbecue and Chili will allow you to see survivors who are 40 meters or more from your current location. With Infectious Fright, when you down a survivor, you will hear all other survivors scream and will give you a visual notification if they are within your terror radius. A Nurse's Calling will allow you to see anyone who is healing you within a 28-meter radius. Monitor and Abuse will change your terror radius based upon if you are in a chase or not. While in a chase, it will increase by 8 meters. When you are not in a chase, it will decrease by 8 meters. It also has the added benefit of increasing your field of view by 10 degrees while not in a chase. Your terror radius is naturally going to be 32 meters. Because you are going to be using the perk Monitor and Abuse, while in a chase, it will increase to 40 meters, and when you are not in a chase, it will decrease to 24 meters. This is very important to remember, 40 meters and 24 meters. Barbecue and Chili will still remain at 40 meters, so you will still be able to see the auras of survivors that are outside the 40-meter radius. Infectious Fright, though, because it's based upon your terror radius, will now be 40 meters. You will always be in a chase when you down a survivor. This is critical because now you covered that 8-meter gap that you didn't have before when it was only a 32-meter terror radius. A Nurse's Calling is still 28 meters because that is a fixed distance. But because your terror radius is now 24 meters when you are not in a chase, while not in a chase, you have 4 meters where you can see somebody and they don't know you're there because they will not hear your terror radius. This will give you time to plan an attack. Before we get into the video demonstrating the Advanced Nurse build, I want to go over the add-ons I will be using in the video. Fragile Wheeze. This will reduce the blink recovery by 20%. Dark Signature. This will reduce the blink recovery by 13%. When combined, they reduce the blink recovery by 1/3. I chose to use blink recovery add-ons because blink recovery takes much longer than fatigue to get back. A double blink would make it so that I would have to wait 6 seconds to double blink again because of the blink recovery. Meanwhile, my fatigue is only 3 seconds if I didn't try to attack and miss. If I did, the fatigue would only still be at 5 seconds, 1 second shy of the blink recovery. With these add-ons, I now have 1 full second of wait after recovering from fatigue before I can use both my blinks. This allows me to make my next attack even quicker on Survivor, which means they don't get as far away. So newer players tend to use fatigue add-ons because they want the help in not losing the survivor. In training, this is okay, but when you are playing at a master level, this is one of the two builds you will use. The other build will increase the distance of your blinks, but has a nasty side effect of taking longer to recharge the blink. It isn't mathematically worth it to use these add-ons now, so the ones I will be using are the best ones that you can use for the nurse until they give the nurse some decent add-ons. You're afraid. I accidentally pressed the mouse 2 instead of the mouse 1, so the compensation worked. I just held it in until it was completely gone. This guy's the only one doing that gen, so I don't have anything to fear about somebody jumping on it. But it does seem like he's running a little fast, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that when I do plunge. If I don't make any ground on him, then he's cheating. If I do make ground on him, then he is proper speed. We will see. We know he is hiding in this structure. I did that on purpose to miss because he's the one that wants to come and get this gen. She was trying to be a decoy for him. Which I saw him, but then he must have ducked back in here. Now she's gonna wait to get her sprint burst back before she tries that stun again. I'm gonna throw her, drop her down. That didn't really help you much, did it? I lost her. No, I didn't lose her. That is how quickly the game is over. They really get 3 gens done. I am not going to risk anything. I'm just going to let them bleed out. Which one of them has a perk that will get themselves up? That is the real question. I do not know. But I'm going to play it safe. I suspect it's you, buddy. I missed a lot of blinks that I should have made, but I still was able to end this game pretty fast in an instant. It doesn't matter how many gens need to get done. The nurse has the power to end a game immediately at any time, even when the exit gates are 99. If they're not open, they can't open them when they're on the ground. They have a little over 2 minutes. The bar completely is 4 minutes, so some of them are at the 2-minute mark. The first survivor, Dumb Bitch Juice, is literally about to hit 2 minutes. They underestimated my blinking ability because I screwed up in the beginning. But since I got myself together, I was able to end this very quickly. So she wants to crawl away in the building. 3 of these. They're not crawling in the building. I will have to say, this is entertaining. She came back outside. When I said the nurse is the most powerful killer, I wasn't kidding. No other killer can do what she just did. She is too fast, too powerful, if her blinks are mastered. 1 dead. That was interesting. Two dead. 3 dead. Four dead. Hey, check out this nurse chick I got for you.